So yeah, one reason I thought, or I believe that Toy Story was a big deal was it was one of the first computer animated movies that just looked phenomenal. Two, I think it was one of the first, like, yes, they've done this always, but like it was one of the first animated movies that it was still very much aimed at children. You look at Ratatouille or you look at Up or Wally, like those, I think there's arguments to be made that they're not for children. Although I would disagree with that argument. But when you look at Toy Story 1, it was one of the first animated movies that had humor in it that would fly completely over. It's not working on two levels. It would fly completely over little kids' heads. And you're just like, and even references to older movies. I can't remember the reference they did in the first one, but I know in the second one they do a very obvious Star Wars reference. That's just, it's not stuff that just grab the adults' attention. Although that's part of it. That's part of why the movie is such a big hit. But they're just doing it from an honest place. It's not just winks at adults. Yeah, it is, but the humor fits. They're not going out of their way to please you as an adult. They're trying to just do something that's good and fun. But that was another big thing about it is just that it had humor that it had humor for kids and it had humor for adults. I think the adults get the best end of the bargain on any Pixar movie because they get to understand both jokes. They can remember what was funny, what would be funny when you're a kid, but they could also get the jokes that the kids won't understand. There's like little sexual jokes too. The only thing that specifically stands out to me right now is like in the closing credits of Toy Story 2, you have Stinky Pete, the like miner looking guy. He has two Barbies in his box with him. He's like auditioning them for something. I don't know, but and the other thing I think that really works about Toy Story is the story, which I think that like kids and adults can relate to. Like it's just a cool idea for a story. It's a cool idea from a kid's perspective. It's a cool idea that your toys are actually living, and when you're not there, they're doing stuff. That's just a great idea. From an adult's perspective, it's a cool concept that an object, a non-living object, yearns to be used like what it yearns to be used for its use, for its purpose, what it was made for. So like this chair I'm sitting on as an object that yearns for me to sit on it and wants someone to sit on it. And you're like, what the fuck, is he full of shit? No, that's ingrained in this story. And it's a concept that, I mean, it goes back to ancient times. I think Plato even talked about stuff like this. So it's a really cool idea, but I think in this case kids get the better end of the bargain because, I mean, think about it. If I wish I had seen these movies as a kid. Maybe when I was 13 they wouldn't have worked, but let's say if I was a couple years younger when the first one came out, I could just imagine I'd be at school just thinking about what my toys are doing, or just imagining my own Toy Story things in my head, like what my He-Mans were doing, my He-Man toys were doing, my Masters of the Universe toys were doing when I wasn't there, or something like that. I mean, not that I would actually believe they're doing something, but I guess I'm jealous of little kids because I remember when I was young like that, you just had such an active imagination that you could suspend your disbelief for anything, like aliens, Bigfoot, anything was possible. And so for you have these Pixar Studios just comes up with this idea for you that your toys are alive when you're not there. That's just a really cool concept. And I think that's the other reason. You have three things coming together here: great technology, the animation. You have the great story, what I've just been talking about, whatever the hell the other thing was, and that's what made it work. But to me, like, Toy Story 1 really is the slightest of all the Toy Story movies. It's a very light, breezy movie. I mean, it's a charmer just as much as Toy Story 2 or any other Pixar movie. It's a definite charmer. But it's very kind of lightweight, not a lot of stakes, just two buddies, like, two people that start off as enemies become buddies and they make it back home. It's like a little adventure, little harmless adventure that I like. I mean, I bought it on Blu-ray. I'm gonna keep it. And I know I said this already, but if you have the ability, see the Pixar movies on Blu-ray. They're just wow. I mean, even Pixar or God damn it, Toy Story from 1995 looks brilliant on Blu-ray. But then tonight, after I got my power back finally, I watched Toy Story 2 on Blu-ray, and I liked it a lot more. I think it had a lot more going for it. Like I said, maybe said a little in the first video, is it had more depth to it. It had a little. You could tell that Pixar was developing their craft, like developing the way they tell stories. It was just the best. The most direct word is better. But funnier, more action packed, more jokes for adults. Maybe I think some people might say it looks better, but I couldn't tell a difference. They both look really good. But Toy Story 2, like, had more going on in the story. Like, the whole issue with whether Woody wanted to be in a museum as a collector's item or as a children's plaything, I think that was just it's Pixar finding the drama in this little world that they've created where toys exist and going, well, if toys did exist, what are the things that what would be their dramas in life? And that's a cool thing. Like, what are you finding out? He's a collector's item, and oh, is he? Does he choose to go be part of a collector's set in a museum and sit behind a glass and have people stare at him and go, oh? Or does he want what the toys want in these movies, to be loved by a child that will play with them as a toy? They want to be toys. I think I know I said Play-Doh. I think it goes to the platonic ideal. That an object yearns to be the most perfect version of what it's meant to be. And if you ask me, Pixar got it right. Toys don't belong in a museum. Fucking, if you still have a G.I. Joe or something in a package, tear that shit open and play with it right now. That's what it was meant for. It ain't meant to be sold on eBay or put on a fucking shelf. I don't get people that do that. You have a toy, open it up, play with it. And that's what Pixar was going for in Toy Story 2. They went for the heart. And you know what? God damn it, it's 2 movies, so I will go into a third video here. I do need a little short intermission, so I'm gonna cut this one short. But I just want to talk about a little bit more about Toy Story 2, like some sequences I thought that made it work. I already talked about part of what I thought made it work, but just some sequences that put it over the top, made it the better sequel. And maybe in the third video, what I think about Toy Story 3. I haven't seen it yet, but my feelings about it. So check that one out too. If you watch these first 2, you're gonna watch the third one, I guess. But I guess I'll say thanks for watching right now. So come back for the third.